Well, the results are in. We teased you a little while back. The 2022 worst roads in Ontario results are in. I should say in right across the country, as a matter of fact. But we are concentrating here in Ontario and, of course, specifically here in Ottawa. And I'm joined by Julie Beun, Director of Communications and Public Relations at CAA North and East Ontario. Julie, how you doing?
I'm pretty damn good.
Excellent. Great to have you back. And yeah, we talked about this before, and you know, the participation is always great each and every year. What was the participation like this year?
Yeah, it was crazy because I think, pre-pandemic people, or during the pandemic, people were, staying at home as they were told to do,
Yeah.
and not really seeing what was going on the roads. And now they're out there, they're looking around, and more than 300 roads were nominated this year, which was a huge increase over the past.
So how does the survey work exactly, Julie?
So what we do is we put the word out to anybody who is a road user, and that includes pedestrians, cyclists, motorcyclists, anybody it just doesn't have to be four wheels. And we ask them to vote at caaworstroads.ca. They put their vote in, and they can nominate the road even by the intersection. They can put in photos, all that sort of thing. And then what we do is we send all of that raw data off to ORBA, the Ontario Road Builders Association, and they do a whole analysis of it. And then from there, they pick the top 5 roads regionally and across the province as well. From there, we send all that data off to the municipalities and the province as a little checklist of what they should maybe look at fixing.
Does that make a difference, Julie, when you send those to the municipalities and to the provincial governments, bodies across the country? Has it made a difference?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
It really has. They do respond to it. You wouldn't know it by looking at Carlin Avenue, which once again, for the 4th year in a row, has made the top of the list in Ottawa and is on the top 10 list once again for right across the province. Some roads are really long, like Carling, like Hunt Club. They go through multiple areas, residential, high use, industrial areas. And so they get a real beating. But we put the pressure on, and we're constantly pointing out that, these roads really do need to be maintained. And if the municipal government or the province puts $1 towards fixing a small issue now, they save $10 later. So that's a big savings, especially these days.
Let's look at some other interesting stats. Personal vehicle use certainly has gone up as we've seen public transportation use go down, and for good reason, right? During the pandemic, I mean, people were not, encouraged to use public transportation, but the numbers are quite stark, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are. So what we saw before the pandemic, there was a lot of road use by people in cars, that sort of thing. And of course, public transportation was somewhere around 67%. And now it's down to, in double digits, in the teens, really.
Okay.
And road use has increased again as we come out of the pandemic.
You had a national poor roads survey, I guess, last year, or a study, I should say. What were some of those results, Julie, from that study?
Well, one of the big things, the big takeaway was that Canadians spend an additional $3 billion a year in additional car costs. So it might be, insurance deductibles, it might be fixing minor dents, even the cost of gas, because if your roads are really rough shape, you do burn gas a lot faster. So we figure that $3 billion would be better off left in the pockets of Canadians, and put towards fixing the roads.
When we look at the roads here in Ottawa, I mean, you mentioned Carling Avenue, Hunt Club, I think Innes Road was on there, Bronson was on there as well. Do any of those roads have any sort of common themes to them at all?
Yeah, so the big thing there is that they go through some really busy areas, and they are high use. There's, in some areas there's water drainage problems. If you think about Carling, for example, it's 17 kilometers long, I think, and it starts out in Canada in rural, sort of a semi-rural area, and then runs through Bayshore all the way right through the center of the city and stops at Bronson. So
Right.
it has a lot of traffic, and that's also the same with Innis and Hunt Club. These are high use areas, and that doesn't mean to say that there aren't major potholes. Like there's some in my neighborhood downtown Ottawa that I could lose my dog in if I wasn't paying attention.
Well, we're close to the same neighborhood, right? Like Old St.
Yeah.
Patrick Street, right? Is one that sort of pops to mind to me when you drive around. But you're right; it's not exclusive to the roads that we've just described. Where can quickly, Julie? Where can people find the entire list?
So if you go to CAA worstroads.ca, you can find the full list, and that includes the list for the province as well.
Okay,
And
excellent,
and also you could just come to CAA NEO,
perfect.
and that's our website.
Thanks. We'll be right back.